So we've got this big, beautiful oak. Dropping acorns. Look at these acorns. There's a ton. An absolute ton. So I think this is what they call a mast year, where they have massive amounts of acorns. And so we get them dropped all over. Now my office is like right in there. And so that's our sunroom. The roof on the sunroom is not your standard roof. And you could see it just barely, the oak is just barely hanging over. But when the wind hits just right, it knocks down acorns like you would not believe. I'll show you that at the end of the video. Hello and welcome back to our sustainable journey. I'm Steve. Today we are going to look at some trees. So it's fall, or it's about to be fall. The leaves are starting to change colors and drop, which is great, except we tap our sugar maples so that we can make maple syrup. And it's amazing when you homemade maple syrup. It's the best stuff around. It can't be beat. So what we're doing, I just noticed a tree down. What we're doing is I go around this time of year because I can still see the leaves. Sometimes it's hard to tell which one's a sugar maple and which one's not. So you're looking for the typical, stereotypical maple leaf. And then you want to figure out what type, whether it's a silver maple or a sugar maple and whatnot. So what we'll do is we'll find the tree and we'll mark it. And there's certain things that there's some guidelines with sugar maples, with tapping them for sap. So this is one that we tapped last year. You can see there's the whole, so we'll tap it somewhere else this year. But you want to make sure your trees are at least 10 inches in diameter at about chest height, because that will survive the tapping. You don't want like a super skinny, so like I don't know if you can see that tree right there is a maple as well, but it's crazy skinny. There's actually a bunch along in here in these woods that we don't bother with because they're still young. So we'll go after the big boys. So that's what this is. So we're gonna mark it and see. Here's the marking from last year. So what I do is I take this stuff, marking tape, wrap it around the tree. Although, you know, this one we know, but it's a little less obvious when there's nothing to identify the trees, and there's snow on the ground and it's hard to spot them through the woods. Like there's a few that it'll get more complicated later on. This one's pretty obvious because we know this one, because we've done it in the past, but for other ones it's a little bit more complicated. So we'll get this one marked up and we'll move on to some others. So there we go, nothing too crazy, somewhat loose, but just enough so that we know which trees we're tapping. And we only tap, we'll probably tap maybe 15 this year at most, because that's about how much syrup we went through in the last year. Is from, I think we went through 10 trees last year. We might do a little bit more this year, but that's all the syrup we went through after we boiled it down and everything, because it's not worth getting bigger. You have to, in the state of Illinois, if you're selling maple syrup, there's a ton of permits and rules around it, and we're not going to be in the business of making maple syrup in large quantities. So we figured let's just keep it simple and just do a couple of trees. So that's why we're doing that. But this is the one that fell and blocked our path. Looks like it cracked off of that guy. I wonder if I can. Yeah, this is long since dead. Yeah, but that's still pretty solid. So I may have to pull it with the tractor, pull it down. So, all right, for now we'll just walk around it. Oh my goodness. All right, more cleanup. So let's see. So we're looking up into the canopy, see if we see any maple leaves, right? And then you gotta try come back to the tree, and that's a skinny little tree. That's not a maple, is it? No, that is an oak. So we'll keep looking. So, and there's also more dead trees. And that big one right there is dead. You see this one that loops all the way up. You can see the holes in it where animals have made their living. I guess parts of it are, I think that limb is dead. The rest of the tree looks to be fine. Interesting. All right, so what else? Let's see. See, so it's like a hickory right there. That's a shagbark hickory, I believe. Not a maple, that's all that matters. We're looking for maples. And I'm gonna kind of cheat because I know exactly which trees we did last year because they still have the ribbon on them. So we're gonna do that one. Here's a little deer trail. Let's go in here and see if there's anything out here a little ways. Because remember, you also have to collect the sap from these trees. So you don't want to go 100 feet into the woods, because we marked a few last year that were way at the bottom of the hill, and we never went that far. We didn't even tap them, because once we saw how slick it was with snow and things like that, it wasn't worth it. So this one, make sure that's not too tight. No, we're good. All right, see, that's where we tapped it last year. So this one's a maple. I think we tapped it last year and it did not produce. So I'm gonna leave that one alone. You can see we tapped it, nothing was happening. We moved it over, nothing was happening. So we're just gonna move on. It's not worth it. And these are all skinny, younger trees. So we're gonna move on. That one was one we did last year. So that's we're at 3 right now. Oh, it's another dead tree. I gotta get back here with the chainsaw. And again, it starts sloping down. So that's not fun in the winter. So I don't want to go too far, you know, maybe 20-30 feet into the woods. So let's see, what's this one? Let's see, no, this is the maple. See, this is a maple. This one is not a maple. So, what we do, there's an app. It is called Seek. I've talked about it before. Seek, where you just take pictures, and I think the new iPhones, you can just take a picture of a plant. Yeah, this one's a hickory. Take a picture of a plant or an animal or whatever, and it'll tell you what it is. It's pretty good with trees. It's really good with animals and insects and spiders and whatnot. See, there's one we did last year, so we'll leave that one. So that's 4. Make sure this tree looks healthy. Yeah. So that tree looks good. This is about as far down as we want to go in the winter. House is over there. We usually end up traipsing up because there's 3 right over there that we'll grab. I might see if any of these are. I think this one is right here. Yeah, it's split. So what it'll do, this one says it's something else. Let me see. It is. This one is a maple. This one is not. So you can see, I don't know if it'll pick this one up. You can tell from the leaves that this one's a maple. Can you tell me? No. See, another maple right there. But this one's too skinny. This one's only like 6 inches across. And they're not going to do too well growing that close together. One of these is going to have to go. Alright. Let's move on to another one. What's this one? This is the same thing. That's not a maple. What's this one? Same thing, not a maple. This is gonna be beeches, oaks, walnuts, and allies. Oh, that's great. That doesn't help me at all. But just looking up at the leaves, not a maple. Not a maple. I think this is the same family. Yes, it is. But see, it's a maple, but it's too skinny. So let's see. This is not. That skinny one is. The one next to it is not. This doesn't look like a maple. Nope. So it's literally an afternoon of walking around, checking out trees. Alright. I don't know where we tapped this one last year. But there's one, there's one, there's one. Let's see. And then there's a ton in here, but you can see there are all these little twigs. It's not going to give you any sap. And that's what you need, because it's like 40 to 1, so it takes 40 gallons to make 1 gallon of syrup. So 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup. And that's about what we made last year, was about 1 gallon. So it took quite a bit. So let's keep walking. This is this, nope, see, that's the maple. See, the problem is when they grow up right next to each other and you look up and you're like, oh, that's a maple, but it's not. It's the little one next to it. See, so looking up, all these surrounded by maple, but they're little tiny guys. So tiny guy, that's a little guy. And then you need to look up into the canopy to make sure that it's not dead at the top. So like, well, I guess this was pretty obviously dead, but some of these ones might be dead at the top. So, maple, but it's only about 8 inches. So we're gonna leave this one be. Too small. That's another maple. Right here. Pretty small still. What's that one? Oh good, this looks super dangerous. Let's see, this looks like a maple to me. Looks like a maple to you, right? So, let's see if our handy dandy app identifies it. Since that was an oak. Beech. What? That is not an oak. Beech family. Is it? Oh, you know what it is? That one that fell. I'm looking at the canopy of that one. And the canopy of... Is it this one? No, that one's definitely not it. No, this is 100% an oak. I can see the leaves sprouting off of there. Part of it got knocked down. No, this is 100% an oak. See that branch right there. That's all that matters. Okay, so we're going to tag this one. There we go. Alright, that one's not too far down. I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go back this way. So then we're at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we're at 8. So, this one up here was my favorite because we had 2 taps in it. And it produced a ton of sap, but it got knocked. That's when it got knocked down. So let's see. I don't want to walk under that. Go this way a little bit. It's used to like this. It doesn't even matter what this is, but it's dead. So you're not getting any sap out of that. I think this one is, but it's too skinny. That one is, that's too skinny. Nope, this one's not, I'm sorry. That one's not. In here that are not too skinny. These are all too skinny. So we're going to skip them. I'm not even going to bother looking them up. I'll show you the basket. Maybe next video. We'll see. So here's one. It's pretty close. So this one's only about 7 inches across. So maybe next year. This way. There's like a ton of maples around this one. Hey, maple, maple, maple. But they're all skinny. And this one's not a maple. Alright, let's see. A lot of fallen trees. I don't really want to go this way. Because I gotta clear all this out. may leave it at that because that's all fallen. So until I clear that out, I should have time to get it done before winter. But if I don't want to be tapping trees down there because we'll never get to them. See? The pink marking. And then we only have half a tree. The top part's dead. So I'll be pulling that down in the next couple of days. I finally have everything I need to do that. That one's dead. That one's dead. And this is a crazy slope. So it goes down and then it levels out and then it goes down again. But in the wintertime, carrying a 5-gallon bucket full of sap up that hill isn't fun. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to go down that way. So we're going to walk this way. We'll see if there's any more. I think we've got to be at 10 because I added 2 and we took away a double tap, so we're at 10. So I'd like some more. But honestly, 10 trees is a good number. Let's see what's out this way. So we got some mulberry. Black walnut. And I think we're out of the maple. Oh, there's a maple. But it's super skinny. You see? About as thick as my arm. That's not enough. So I think we're good. So maybe we'll leave it at 10. Alrighty. So 10. That's fine. Maybe as the weather keeps changing, it'll be a little bit easier to see them too. And see if there's any more that are close to the edges, because remember, you're walking around staring up and staring down and staring across and everything like that, just to make sure you're not tripping over anything. And then we don't tap them, so we're just marking them. We're gonna tap them. It's September, so we'll probably tap them in about 4 months. But you want to do this now because it is 1,000 times easier to find all of your trees now while they still have their leaves. Because these woods are full of trees. We've got everything. Oaks, and hickory, and maples, and beeches, and walnuts, and everything else. So it's easier to do it now while we can still see all the trees and all the leaves, so we can make sure that we're going for sugar maples instead of something else. I mean, you could still tap black walnuts, which we did last year. It's actually pretty good syrup, but we just didn't have enough. I think we have 1, 2, 3. I can think of maybe 5 black walnut trees, like off the top of my head, that I know of where they are, and that they would be close enough to tap. So it's, in my mind, not worth it, because it produces a lot less sap, which means a lot less syrup, so it's a lot more work for very little payoff. So yeah. So I'll keep an eye out as I'm walking through the woods the next couple weeks before all the leaves are gone, and I'll keep you all updated. All right, we'll see you next time. Take care. You see all the birds. You were flying away. Watch out, buddy. You don't want to be there. Yeah, he's not too happy. You're gonna get hurt. Yeah. You can see a few of them up in the branches. There's a whole lot of them up there. It's that time of year when they go swarming. Downside to having my office be in the sunroom this time of year. Just hear it raining down. Just look at the ground. Look at all the acorns. I mean, even here, there's acorns everywhere, but there's a ton there. There's a ton up on the roof of the sunroom. Yikes. Get out from under the tree. What are you doing, buddy? You're gonna get hit. They're probably aiming for you. Need some fireworks or something. Well, move. Hey, you're gonna get hurt. He's not the brightest, but we love him. Get. Hear him raining down. It's really scary at night. Well, come on in. Did you have your fun? All right, I'm gonna head in where it's safe. stay out there. Is it scary, buddy? So, oak tree, sunroom, bad combination.